My name is Candan Bölükbaş. I am the CTO of Norm Shield Security. I am computer engineer, Bachelor of Science, and I, I I was a network and security administrator for more than 5 years for companies and also the governmental organizations. And more than 5 years, I am a penetration tester, not only web application but mobile and also the application pen testing. I have a bunch of certificates, including network-related, security-related, and forensic incident handling and secure application development. And in this course, you are going to learn how to. This is a small reminder for you. This is my email address, candanbölükbaş@normshield.com. This is how my name is pronounced, Candan. You can call me John if you having difficulty to call my name. This is my Twitter address. This is the company Twitter address. I usually post meetups and videos and cool stuff on my Twitter account. So if you would like to follow, that would be a nice source. So this week we are going to talk about the web application vulnerabilities, and we will pretty much start with IDA. So we will start with reverse engineering. Of course, I'm kidding. No, we are not going to start with IDA. And we are going to start with SQL injection. Why? Because there are OS top 10s every 2 years. OS releases that. Open Web Application Security Platform, I think you guys are all familiar with that. So they announced that these are the vulnerabilities that those are most critical in the world. So .NET applications or even the other applications, pretty much they are vulnerable to SQL injection. And SQL injection is the most critical vulnerability that I usually ever seen if there is no code injection available. So we will start with SQL injection, and in the second part we will deal with the XSS cross-site scripting, and we will continue with the other vulnerabilities in the next meetup. Yeah, I started. Thank you. So let's first understand what the SQL injection stands for. And you see that some URLs with an trusted part and the untrusted part. The trusted part is what browsers or the developers produce, right? Like mysite.com/widget and query string with ID is the trusted part. It is generated by the developer, but the ID at the end is triggered by the user, right? At the end user decides to, I would like to visit the first, second, or third, or any other payload. So this is the trusted part, and the other part is the untrusted. And behind the scene, in the code level, they're using the select star from widgets where ID is equal to untrusted part. This is the biggest problem. The biggest problem of developers that they can't distinguish the trusted and the untrusted part. Untrusted part should never ever be concatenated with a trusted part. This is something like since I'm a father of a daughter, I just can't my daughter to hang around with a man that I don't trust, right? I would like to know him. I would like to make sure that he is a good person, and I want to make sure that he doesn't have any bad habits, right? Under these conditions, I can allow my daughter to hang around with that guy. So this has to be the same thing with the developers. They are deciding to use this untrusted number one with a SQL statement. That is a problem, because this is our daughter, and this is the guy who would like to hang around with my daughter, right? So I need to sanitize these inputs. What if I don't sanitize? They can use some payloads for that. So let me show that on the demo. So if you guys open beef-xss on your machine and also visit the IP address of beef-xss. For example, my beef-xss is located at this IP address, 172.16.52.214. So when I visit this page, beef-xss brings you the 3, 4, or 5 things, but the first one is the important one for us. If you would like to be a web application penetration tester, I strongly encourage you to finish this course. BWeb is one of the best training lab in the industry right now. So username and password is B and bug. You can easily log into this box. So this provides you a lot of challenges, so you can deal with that. Actually, this A1, A2, It goes to A3, A4, A6, you name it. So these are the vulnerabilities that OWASP categorize. For example, A1 is the top 1 or A2 is the top 2 critical vulnerabilities. So it includes a lot of vulnerable pages, so you can test and learn how to find these vulnerabilities. So the best part is also solutions is not commonly available. You still can search the internet, but not all of the solutions available. So you have to spend some time to get the solutions. But if you can't find any solution, shoot me an email or shoot an email to one of my colleagues. Omer is also my colleague. So you can send email and get some help. But do not send email saying that, hey, I can't find the SQL injection. Can you send me the payload? No, we can show you how to learn, but we, deliberately want to give the answer because it's the easiest part. So when you look into this part, if you are following with me, I want you to visit the SQL injection get search. Okay, let's hack this one. So the normal human being is acts like this way, right? Search for something like, let's say, Hulk. I think there's something like, yeah. When I search for Hulk, it brings me the Incredible Hulk movie and some details here. And I can see in the query string, there is something pretty similar to our payload, right? This is the trusted part up to here. And this is the Hulk that I type here, right? And the rest is also the trusted part. So there is untrusted part, which is the Hulk right now. So can I change this for different purposes? For example, I can run A here and I get an A result here. So that's good. And as far as I understand, it uses my input to filter out the results. So what if I send A and single quote? So this is the pretty much common way to test the SQL injection, because the single quote, what's the name of this character, by the way? Is it single quote? Apostrophe. Okay, apostrophe. So if you put only single apostrophe at the end, it is going to change the SQL statement, right? Because in the SQL language, apostrophe means a special one to end the string, right? So you are saying that, hey, I want to send you another apostrophe, which is going to be, change the structure of the SQL statement if it is not properly sanitized. So when I send the A apostrophe, I get an error. And it says that you have an error, your SQL syntax, check the manual and correspond to the MySQL, and there is a problem with percent and quote. So I understand that I changed the structure of SQL statement, which brings you the result of that. This guy is probably 99% SQL injection vulnerability. But how can I take advantage of the vulnerability? Because as a penetration tester, you usually expect to exploit the vulnerability. If you bring a result saying that, hey, I see that MySQL error warning or error here, and your box is vulnerable to SQL injection, no, it doesn't good. You would like to get at least something from the database, and that's why we would like to do today. So how can I get something from the list? You should imagine that how this SQL statement is running behind the scene. And let me text back here. So can you tell me, I think we have only one developer here, but I think you guys are also familiar with SQL languages. So can you tell me what kind of SQL statement running behind the scene? Do you have any idea? Can you give me something? Select. What it? Yes, select, for example, star, like from probably movies, right? This should be the database name, but it's not important for now. Select star from movies. There should be a where statement because I'm sending a text and they are filtering out that. What kind of a where statement should be over there? Like, right? Because like is the pretty much famous one, and usually people uses the 2% icon in order to filter the results, right? So the SQL statement is going to be this way, and my parameter is going to be this way, right? Parameter. So this is going to be from the user, and the rest is going to be from the developer. So what I did is I sent a comma, a apostrophe, right? Percent a apostrophe. which means up to now it was a valid SQL statement, but after the quote I have percent and another apostrophe here. So which throws an error in SQL syntax. That is the problem. So I can imagine that, oh, how can I get rid of the rest of the part? Because I would like to get the results at here, but this changes the structure of the SQL statement. So how can I bypass this problem? Since I can see on the screen, it says that MySQL error, you may use some MySQL syntax like sharp. Sharp means after this sharp, everything is comment. Ignore the rest. Okay? So let's use this payload. Let's see whether it's going to throw another error or it's going to work. And sharp. Or even we can use dash dash depending on the SQL. So when I send, that's interesting. No movies found, but my SQL statement run correctly, right? So I found that there is a vulnerability exists, and I figure out what kind of a SQL statement is over there. So why no movies were found? Do you have an idea? Because I search for movies ending with A, right? Because nothing after A. But if I use this way, I will probably get the same result. For example, A and a percent and single apostrophe and sharp, which is going to end the statement with A and also another percent. So A has to be contained in the movie name, and the rest is going to be commented again. So let me see whether this works correctly. Yep, it works. So I understand that the SQL statement is pretty much similar to this one, right? I figure out that. So how can I get some results from here? So I understand this guy works this way. So let's think about that. I would like to run A and apostrophe. So I need to run another command here. So what kind of a command should I run? I need to get something from the database, right? But you just can't say that select star from user database because we don't know the database name. So we need to get something makes sense for us. For these purposes, we usually use union. Do you know what the union statement stands for? Union, yeah, it's a combining with other statement. Union, and select. Usually prefer to select a number of columns. Why I choose 5 columns instead of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Because in the web page I can see that title, release, character, genre, and IMDb. It's a 5 column. Probably it is 5 column, but I still can increase the number because there might be some columns which is not visible to user, right? Maybe ID is also maybe another columns. But let's use this statement first. So my payload is going to be this part, right? And it has to be end with, yeah, sharp. So this is going to be the payload. Let's copy that and make sure that whether we can get any result from this one. Okay. The select statement have different number of columns. That is interesting. Do you know why this error is showing up? Yeah, it is either shorter or it is longer. I don't given a possibility to be shorter. Probably, I mean longer. Probably this shorter. So let's increase the number of columns to 6. Oh, I get the same error. Let's use 7. There we go. We found something else. Our statement is simple, something like this. Okay, comma 6, 7. I asked to ending movies with A, which is nothing, right? There is no movies ending with A. But I told them the union select with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, right? So I can get something from database, which I sent. Although it doesn't make any sense, but I still can use that. So I see that 2 is in the title column, right? I can change that column to something else which makes more sense to me. So my payload is going to be, let me copy this one, and let's generate another thing. So instead of 2, I would like to get something that makes sense for me. What it could be? Maybe select at version, right? This is the pretty much common SQL statement I usually use to identify the SQL version and whether you can run any SQL statement on the database. So let's use this one. I think there might be some parentheses required here, but let's try. If we get any error, we can modify our script. Okay, I get a SQL error here, so probably I need parentheses here. I'm not database the guy, by the way. There we go. Ubuntu 5.0.96. I get something from the database. That is very good. That is pretty much useful for me. So I understand that there is a SQL injection available here. I can get some data, but so what? How can I get the rest of the database? That is the challenging point, because in order to get the rest of the database, you have to be master of database. You must be, master of SQL. But unfortunately, most of us not, right? Is there any master of SQL here? But I still can get everything in this database because we are a security guy, right? So let's go back to original statement. Let's search for title A, because I would like to show you how can you hold the data from the database in a normal way. So you already detect that your service is vulnerable. So after this point, you're gonna use a tool. So manual pen test is done. You need to use a tool to automate the rest of the process, right? Because in order to show your customer your effort, your strength, you gotta amaze them. So that is why we are going to use bird proxy and sqlmap. First things first, open bird proxy and make sure that you are running on a proper port, which has to be under proxy options. It is usually 80, okay? So which means if you redirect your traffic to this port, bird proxy is going to capture your traffic and show it to you, right? In the HTTP history, and even you can intercept the traffic, which means that whenever your browser decides to send any package to server, your bird proxy will capture the data and hold it for you. And if you would like to modify that data, you can run it. So this is pretty much useful when your client-side interface is protected with JavaScript. So developers, most of the time, they use the JavaScript to filter out the malicious payloads, and they say that, hey, apostrophe is not allowed character in the movie name. Haha, that's funny, because we don't use browser. We use browser only for detection. But if I can detect from the interface, I can use still bird proxy. So let's keep the interception on for this moment, but I will come back to that point later. So our local proxy, this is called as a local proxy, is ready, but my browser is not ready to redirect the traffic to local proxy. In order to do that, I need to configure my proxy to forward the traffic. So under preference here and under advanced and network, there is settings which you can configure your local proxy. So bird proxy is an HTTP proxy, so your proxy is going to be 127.0.0.1 and the port is going to be 8080. Okay, so let's click OK. So we are in good shape. Our proxy is ready to listen and our browser is ready to send. So let's hit the button again and I will send A again here. As you can see, my browser is waiting the reply, right? Why? Burp is holding the request, right? This is the most common mistakes when you first configure your local proxy. It's like, hey, it's not working. Something is wrong here. Yeah, you keep the burp proxy to intercept, okay? That's the problem. So I can see that my URL is here and the title is A and oh, it's hard to read, right? I don't know how I increase the font, but anyway, I will use for a shortened amount of time. So I don't want to do anything for here, or let's change the A to Hulk. Okay, that's going to be funny. So let's forward this and let's see the results. Although in the title it's saying A, but I changed the request on the fly. Now I get the result Hulk, right? That is the power of the local proxy. So I have a request here in my HTTP history. So when you click on that, you can see your request, the original one, the edited request, which I change a to Hulk, and also the response, which is an HTML content of my reply. So I need the original request because I will play with this one. So I will play, I know that this is SQL injection vulnerability, so I would like to use sqlmap for this purpose, and I really like sqlmap. sqlmap is the tool that you are going to use a service or application or URL that you identify that there is a great chance that this could be a SQL injection vulnerable. Do not use sqlmap for every single parameter. It's not a best practice. If you use sqlmap, for every single purposes, it doesn't work. It's going to spend, you are going to spend a lot of time. You will probably get nothing from that. So as usual in a Linux command prompt, if you hit with -H, it's going to bring you the usage and help content. So if you need more details, you can use --help for get detailed result here. And the syntax is this way. sqlmap, it's a Python script, by the way, and the URL, and also some stuff like cookie, and if you would like to use with Tor, that's here, and also the parameter you would like to give, because in order to sqlmap to test a parameter, you need to specify which parameter is going to be used, and I will explain that in a minute. So which technique is going to be used, then, and also the post exploitation. When you identify whether it's a SQL injection vulnerable, you can run the rest of the stuff with the sqlmap also. So when you hit with --help, you will get a different you will get a different help here, which includes a lot of details here. So that it's just keeping this simplified. But my favorite is -r, which is the reading the request from a file. You don't have to specify every single parameter. Just put it in a file and use it. That's the easiest way. So I will copy this request since I already have my request, right? But make sure that it doesn't include any SQL injection payload, right? Because sometimes people usually uses apostrophe and all other cool stuff and use this request for sqlmap. sqlmap has to have the original request just like a normal human being, okay? Do not send any payload in that because it confuses it. It already uses some kind of sophisticated attack, but if you use it on your payload, it's going to confuse it. So I need to create a request file. So let me use vi for creating a request file, request.txt, and paste my request here. So I think I need to get rid of these spaces because it shouldn't be here. Let me delete these. Okay, so I think I have all I need: the title, host, user agent, and also cookie here. Let's save it. Okay, just want to make sure that request is included. Okay, so I will say that sqlmap. Okay, and please read from the request.txt, and I want you to test the parameter. Which parameter is going to be the testing parameter? Title, right? Because I'm sending the payload to this one. So the title is going to be the parameter. So I will write here the title. Okay. So you can optimize with the other results. For example, I already know that the database is MySQL database. So you can say that ---dbms is equal to MySQL. So you can filter down, but the easiest way and the simplest way is just use the request and also the parameter. Then hit enter and the rest. Potential capital, it's fine. And it's saying that I identify that MySQL is the database. So do you want me to specify on MySQL payloads only? Yes, please. That's the maximum level is I usually use is 3 and 2. But 1 is fine for this moment. So just hit enter and expect the results. It will take approximately a minute to result to show up. So it's sending sophisticated packages to identify which vulnerabilities it has, because there are multiple SQL injection types. One that we already exploited is union-based or stack-based SQL injection. but blind, time-based, and what else? I don't know, maybe there are two more SQL injection available. It is also testing this kind of attacks also. And after that, it is going to choose the most proper attack payload. For example, the union is the fastest way to grab the data from the database. So we will use it probably. So let's wait for a couple of minutes here, and we will get the results after that. So let me show you, by the way, it's running. I would like to show the source code similar to that vulnerability. So this is the one that I wrote deliberately. It is, vulnerable. As you can see, select name, product name, number, list price from the products where product subcategory is equal to this one. Okay, by the way, in order to be this one to be vulnerable, it has to be, this is product subcategory. I don't know, I need to change this one to this. Okay. So this is the vulnerable one, actually, that is the sanitized one. So as you can see, this is SQL injection vulnerable, right? So sometimes people say that, hey, I know you guys are really smart, so I have a solution for you. And they say that I will replace everything, which includes select, union, update, insert, delete, where, and from. These are the keywords that you usually use in SQL statement, right? And they say that if I replace with nothing, then you can't exploit. Is it true? Is it possible to bypass this one? Because I will send, for example, union select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, right? But it is replacing union with nothing. So my union is not going to work. How can I bypass this filter? Pardon me? Oh yeah, encoding is a method, but the problem is when you encode it, the code is actually done by the web server. So the code is running underlying the web server, so your data is going to be decoded when it hits to source code. So encoding sometimes work if they are filtering on the web server level, but for this moment, since it is code level, it doesn't gonna work. So that's a good offer. What else? Come on. Pardon me? But we need to say at least select union update in order to gather data from the database, right? That has to something work. So that's the simplest way to bypass. If you are going to replace the select with nothing, go ahead and replace my select statement with nothing, okay? It is going to replace the select. If I send cell select act, it is going to replace the select with nothing, and then there will be another select, right? You see that? Did you get the idea? You can, send double of them, select, and inside select, just send another select. It is going to work. Pardon me? Yeah, it depends on, you can identify which, you can guess the developer's behavior. Sometimes they usually prefer to replace the malicious payload with something else. If I identify that they are doing something like that, we can find a workaround for that. And the database command is not limited with union select, delete on all of them. So there are multiple commands. For example, char. I can send it a char code. It's actually another encoding style. So it could be also possible to run on a web server. But this is the simplest way. If you see somebody tries to solve with a string replacement, it's not going to work. We can easily bypass that. So do not trust anything to replacement. Okay. So let's see whether my SQL statement is already done. So title is vulnerable. Perfect. I already tested that. But do you want me to continue testing with others? No, thank you. So it's saying that it is Boolean-based blind SQL injection available. Error-based is the another one. Time-based is the another one, and also union query. So we have 4 different types of SQL injection available for this application. So let's analyze for example, the union one, right? Just take a look at the payload. Title is equal to a percentage apostrophe and union all select. This is pretty similar to our payload, right? Up to now. And there is something different at here. What's going on here? But when you look at that, null, null, and concat and here, see that this is also another one, and null, 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 null. How many of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, this is pretty similar SQL statement that we already sent, but you know, sqlmap is pretty sophisticated to identify the problem. So we have something in our hand, but how can I get the rest? So the first thing you're gonna do is with this one, dash dash dbs, which means bring me the databases. There we go. We have databases here. See that? bweb, Dropageddon, information schema, and MySQL. So it's actually pretty complicated queries that it has to run, but let me show you that actually minus, what was that? Minus VV, what are the verbose? Minus V, let's say 5. Okay, but this is coming from the cache, I think. Oh, no, no, no. That has to be here. Okay. Okay. What is it? Okay, anyway. So we can see the command, but I think it's not showing here. Anyway. So I already get the DBs, and I need to get some data from the bweb database, right? Probably our data is in bweb or even information schema or MySQL. Depends. So let's choose database as bweb, which means if you say capital D, which means to select this database, and minus minus tables. Okay, it is going to bring you the tables in that database. Here we have blogs, heroes, movies, users, visitors. Perfect, perfect. Good, good, good. So let's deep and dive. So what do we need to get? First of all, let's take a look at these movies database, right? Because I'm really curious about what includes it there. So I will choose the table as, in this database, I would like to choose movies tables, and I want you to dump the data. Okay, this is the SQL syntax. I mean, the command syntax. There we go. We have our database here. As you can see, Hulk is here, Incredible Hulk, World of War, and you can see that there is no movies ending with A, right? That's why when I send %A apostrophe, the result is showing nothing because there is no movie in that name. So that's why. So, but I already know that movies. I need something special and useful. What's that? What you would like to get from this database? Pardon me? Users, right? I need users. So it's actually, there is a database which names that users. So let's use that. I want you to dump the users table. You're gonna love this. When I hit enter, it says that I already dumped, but I saw that there are some hashes in this dump. So do you want me to crack for you? Pardon me, this is just asking for storing. No, you don't have to store, but it's asking me do you want me to crack for you? Yes, please. So which one do you prefer? I will prefer your own word list. Just let's go with that one. And do you want me to put some suffix, prefix? No, we don't need. Let's wait for it and get our cracked password. There we go. We already have this hash is actually the password of the B user. Remember that bug is the MD5 or MySQL hash. I don't know. That is the result of this one. So it's trying to crack the other one if it's possible. Perfect. So aim is another user. So it seems a little bit crappy here, but when I copy this one to a normal notepad, see that? It's actually a table. Admin, login name, email, secret, password, and you can identify that it's actually, both of them actually have the same password. Oh, that's shame on them. And the rest of the database. So you get the idea. You can get whatever you want from the database. This is how a SQL injection vulnerability is exploited. So it doesn't necessarily be in a get request. For example, in one of the BWeb, you're gonna see that there is a post available here. As you can see, my browser is not working. That is why you have to close interception while you are running penetration tests, because it's going to intercept all your requests here. So I turned it off. So it's here. When I hit A, I get the same result. Nothing is in the query list, query string, right? So how can I exploit this one? There is nothing in the query string. Oh, that's a problem. How can I do that? Pardon me? Bingo! So where's my post request? Although I'm not intercepting, but it's on my history, right? The last query is my query, and as you can see, this time title is in the post body of the request. See that? Although it is pretty small to read, but you're gonna see that on the video. So the title is my parameter again. I can use that to use it in a sqlmap. For example, I will copy this for sqlmap, and I would like to change the request, for example, first of all, and delete everything here. Oh, damn it. Ah, come on. Oops, this is not the I. Okay, I save in my request, so I can easily use my sqlmap in the same way. I will use the request, and the parameter is going to be title again. And if you would like to exploit the same box again with sqlmap, you have to use flush dash session. This is going to clear the session related with that IP address, because sqlmap is smart enough. If you exploited it before, it caches the results, so next time it doesn't have to spend some time to discover it. It's going to directly exploit the box. So if I hit flush session, it's going to clear the session and start from the scratch. So this is how you can exploit. As you can see, it identifies the MySQL again. If you run enter and hit yes, you are going to get the same result exactly the same way. So it doesn't have to be in the query string, or it doesn't have to be from the user driven. For example, here, I think, yeah. For example, here, it's a select statement, but you still can send SQL injection to here, because on behind the scene, it's actually sending a parameter to server, right? Let's take a look at the last query. For example, here, I can see that movie is equal to 6, okay? So since it gets a parameter from the user, there is a potential that this could be also SQL injection vulnerable, right? All right, perfect. So I would like to stop SQL injection and continue with XSS, because we have a limited time today. We need to spend some time on that. Does anybody have a question about SQL injection? Perfect. Is there anybody use sqlmap before? Oh, sqlmap is the perfect tool. You definitely love that, Anna, because otherwise we're can't exploit in a SQL injection, because that is really difficult to send them malicious payloads, or get the data from the data. Especially since it's a union-based SQL injection, it's easy to write a SQL query, but assume that it's not SQL injection, union SQL injection, but it's a time-based SQL injection. That is really hard to write the payload for a time-based SQL injection, vulnerability. So let's go to XSS. Does anybody know what is cross-site scripting? So let's quickly explain what's happening here. So again, we have a trusted part and also untrusted part, right? The trusted part is the one that we generated. The untrusted part is the parameter coming from the user. For example, for this one, it is you are sending some name, and it is generated on the user content, right? So this is potential cross-site scripting, which allows an attacker. Let me draw it on the screen. That hurts? Definitely, it hurts. You will see how. So let's investigate the vulnerability on our beef-xss tool. So let's jump back to where is it? Okay, it is A3, and I would like to first investigate get. Okay, this is XSS reflected, and I would like to take a look at that. My name and surname, Canan Bölükbaş. Go. And I see some content here, right? Welcome, Candan Bölükbaş. Okay, thank you. So let me look at the URL. First name, up to this point, it is trusted, right? And this is untrusted data, which is Candan. And also another untrusted data, Bölükbaş. Try to manipulate this payload, whether I can inject some code in here. The first thing you're gonna test is Candan with a bold HTML tag, okay? But if your name is already bold, you may choose the italic, right? Okay, depends on if this is not bold, I choose usually bold, or if it's an italic, I will choose, instead of B, I choose I. So this requires a little bit HTML and JavaScript knowledge, because you need to know that it is rendered in the content, right? So let me choose bold here, so it will be easier to identify. When let me use my surname also here. When I hit go, there we go. We have something interesting here. My name is bold anymore. So let's investigate this by clicking on inspect element and take a look at that, whether my name is really bold. And I can easily see that my name below this blue line, my name is between two bold text, right? B tags. So I can inject some HTML content to this web page. Okay, that's good. If I, copy this link and send it to somebody, he's going to probably see my name also in this manner. So what else can I do? Because even inserting some bold may not be useful, right? So what else can I do? Yeah, script is the first one, but I usually try to add some input area here. Input, and let's say type is equal to text, okay, and value is equal to please insert, or let's say password. Okay, and let's close this tag and copy that, whether if I might type it wrong. Go. I think it's not working. Maybe I mistyped. Input tag. Oh, it's not input. Input it is. Okay. Let's try again. Bingo! I have a text box which expect the user put the username or password, right? So you can add some submit action here. We will see in a minute. So try to get the password from the victim. So yeah, this is useful, but I need to send this crafted link to user, and usually they are not going to click on this link because it seems pretty sophisticated, and it is going to be blocked by the firewalls and web application firewalls. So how can I hide the link? Thanks to URL shortener. See that? Most of the time when somebody wants to click on that, it usually starts with bit.ly, right? Usually they prefer to shorten the link so you don't see the exact link, but they usually include some malicious payload. So that is possible, but I would like to use the post one because that is the most dangerous one. So stored XSS, let's take a look at that because this one is pretty much useful. So I will use that. Funny here, when I submit it, I see that my text is written here, and this is the most of the time the case, right? Because you can put some text in here. So I would like to use funny 2 here, and I will add some JavaScript here, and this is going to be script and alert. Oh, so sorry, this way. And let's say XSS and close the script. This requires a little bit JavaScript, but it's not more. Only this much is going to be enough for you. So when I submit, oh, that's interesting. page displays me the XSS. But you may say that, hey, this is your browser. You insert the link. So what's wrong with that? Let's visit this page with another browser. So I will use my own browser here. Let's use Firefox. I think I have, okay, where's Firefox? Okay, there we go. So let's paste the link. Where's my link? Come on, Firefox. What are you, Yahoo search doing out there? Debug. Okay. Login. So I logged in. I would like to paste my link again here. What is happening here, Firefox? Okay, good. So as you can see, I can run a JavaScript code somebody else's browser. This is the most dangerous case. What can I do here? So it requires a lot of JavaScript, skills, right? Does anybody JavaScript developer in this room? Unfortunately, I'm not also. I can read the JavaScript very well, but I'm not very good in writing JavaScript. But there is a good tool for that. Thanks for Calibox for that. So the tool is beef-xss.